Just for a minute, I need some privacy.
Hey fellas, and what's up? My name is Money, and today I'm going to be giving you some MOAB tips. But before we proceed to the tips, I would like to mention that the gameplay is an MP7 MOAB on the new-ish map Overwatch. It is one of my friend's gameplays. The link will be in the description, so on with the tips. So for the first tip is to run the Specialist Strike package. I know you probably heard this a lot and it's probably quite boring to you now. But the problem is most people who go for MOABs use the Specialist Strike package. Why, you may ask? Because it's great. Basically, if you don't know what it is, if you're just watching this and you don't actually have the game, which is kind of stupid, basically you get, instead of getting kill streaks, you get perks. So, and then when you get to your 7th kill streak or perk streak, you get every single perk in the game, which is pretty amazing. It makes you pretty much invincible. It means that you have an advantage over every single other player. Yeah. So the next tip I covered in my last video, which is know your gun limits. What I mean by this is, if you're using an SMG or shotgun, don't go running into large open areas because you're likely to get cut off by assault rifles or guys with snipers, maybe some LMGs. So just stick to the alleyways, go to the back paths, and yeah. So the next tip is my perk tips. What perks I would recommend using and what perks I would recommend unlocking if you're using the Specialist package. Wow, that sounded retarded. Okay, so next is the perks I would use. I would use Sight of Hand, Sight of Hand or Blind Eye, because you don't want to get shut down by airsport. That's the one thing which I get annoyed about when I'm going for my MOABs. I was like 23 kills and I got killed by a sentry gun. I was annoyed. So yeah, Blind Eye or Sight of Hand if you're using an SMG or a shotgun. And for the second perk, I would recommend using either QD, Quick Draw, or I'd recommend using so I'd recommend using Quick Draw so you can switch weapons quickly. I failed then. I don't know what to say. My mind just went completely blank. Okay, for the third point, perk, I would recommend using either Marksman or Sitwep. It depends what map you're playing. If you're playing something like Overwatch, which the gameplay is, I would definitely recommend Sitrep because there are going to be Betty's, C4, Claymores, and yeah, there's going to be them crawling everywhere because there are so many people who like to use them. Yeah, so the next tip is to use the portable. Oh yeah, before I go into that, the perks you should unlock. I like to unlock if I'm using Sight of Hand, Quick Draw, and Marksman. To say, I would like to unlock something like Blind Eye, definitely. Then maybe, if you're not using Quick Draw, I would like to unlock Quick Draw. And then for the last one, definitely Assassin. That's a very good perk to use. Or Sitwep if you haven't got Sitwep on. So next is the portable radar. I would definitely recommend using this. It has saved my skin so many times. It is great because you can basically put it down wherever you want, and you could, if you're like patrolling an area, you can just put it down behind you. Make sure that no enemies creep up on you, or you can just put it down on near a door or near a crate or something, so you don't get caught with your pants down. Okay, so some other miscellaneous tips. The weapons I would recommend using, sorry, I just had to cut a tiny bit out there. The weapons I would recommend using are SMGs, assault rifles. Definitely not recommend using LMGs or shotguns. Probably the best assault rifles to use are the SCAR-L, the CM901, which is getting increasingly popular. Oh, my dog's here, hello. Or the ACR, which is probably one of the most overpowered, he's not overpowered, but high damaging weapons in the game. For the SMGs, I would recommend the PP90, the P90, or the MP7. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So a couple of other useful things is when you are actually playing, I would recommend using cover, like standing against the wall. This is pretty obvious, but maybe try standing against the wall, and so if you take a couple of bullets, you can just back off and get behind some cover. That's what saved my skin quite a few times, guys. So as always, guys, I'll have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.
Hey Commander, can you unplug me? Just for a minute, I need some privacy. Headset off and stretch your neck out. Down the rocks to her head safe house.